Hey boys and girls, Miss Hayworth back with you today. Today we're going to keep up with the Secret Zoo Chapter 4. But when we left off, Noah had went and saw Mr. Talltail at the zoo. And he found a piece of paper. It was crumpled up in his tail. And he remembered it was the same type of paper that was in Megan's journal. Noah got so upset, and that's where we left off. He was upset. So today, Chapter 4, a mysterious clue to a mysterious zoo. Noah sat on a bench in a quiet part of the zoo. He glanced over both shoulders to make sure nobody was around and pulled Mr. Talltail's paper out of his pocket. Neat cursive handwriting covered every inch. All the letters were joined by smooth arcs, and the dots on the I's were carefully placed. Though the ink was faded and smeared, he knew the penmanship. It was Megan's. There was no mistaking it. Noah glanced around again. Still no one was nearby. A wind swept across the zoo. Noah took a breath, gathered his courage, and read the page. It started in the middle of a sentence. Keep seeing birds in the forest of flight exhibit. They aren't supposed to be there. A bird chart near the entrance has a complete list of birds, but a few that I see aren't even on it. Then, every few days, some of those birds aren't around anymore. On top of that, an old lady who works there keeps following me around, asking me, what am I doing? She's creepy. The bottom of the page was missing. Noah flipped it over. The writing at the top was too smeared to read. The words he could decipher began in the middle of a sentence and in the middle of a new thought. Can't write it down without feeling stupid, but I know what I saw. There's a wall with holes in it. I think the holes are supposed to give the birds a private place to build a nest. They're supposed to be like cracks and crannies and rocks and mountains and stuff. I got curious. I found a bench near the wall and sat there a while, pretending to read a pamphlet. After an hour or so, I saw something. There was a bunch. The page was torn. Noah flipped the paper over repeatedly, hoping to find something in the margins. He dropped against the back of the bench and stared into space. What was going on? What did all this mean? Why had Megan been making trips to the zoo without informing the family? And how had Elanger got hold of a page from her diary? Noah's first instinct was to tell somebody, an adult at the zoo. But Megan had been suspicious of the zoo worker. And hadn't he just had a strange encounter with a security guard? What did all this mean? The leaves fell around him like colorful snowflakes. He was stunned and confused. I don't get it, he muttered. I don't get it at all. But one thing Noah did understand was that he had to act, and he had to act quickly. In 2 hours, the zoo would close. That would be more than enough time to take a tour of the forest of flight, and perhaps to examine the wall with the unusual crannies and holes. Alright, boys and girls, that's the end of Chapter 4. You'll have to wait for Chapter 5, investigating the forest of flight, to see if we can get some of those questions answered he was so curious about.